Hello and welcome to another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show Express. I'm your host, Cesar Hernandez, and we're here to talk about the Concacaf Champions League. We're here to talk about the Clasico Regio, and of course, to talk about the return, believe it or not, 43-year-old Blanco, Cuauhtemoc Blanco, back to America. So before we go into those topics, before we start talking about Blanco, how many goals he's going to score, where he's going to get a hat trick this weekend, let me first introduce Tom and Naib. Tom, how you doing? Tom Marshall, you all love him. You all follow him on Twitter. How you doing, Tom?
Yeah, good. Yeah, back from Torreon yesterday, and yeah, so just chilling out a bit this afternoon.
Nice, good to hear. Naib Moran, over in Mexico City. How you doing, man? How's the weather?
Well, it's a little bit, I think the only ray of sunshine is coming from Cuapa, where Cuauhtemoc Blanco had his first training with America, because it's all gloomy. The city is gloomy. The city has been gloomy for the last 48 hours.
Yeah.
But great,
The last
great to
40, 50 years.
No, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's getting quite crazy with this game actually.
Yeah. Well, before we go into Blanco, let's first talk about yesterday's matches and Tuesday's matches as well. The Concacaf Champions League. Tom, you were able to go to one of the matches, correct? You went to go see Santos and Galaxy. Tell us a little bit about that match. Tell us a little bit more about any of the other matches, if you feel like talk about those instead. But what was it like? What was it like for maybe perhaps just to see Gio playing down there in Torreon?
Yeah, it was weird. It was yeah, it was. I mean, I honestly thought that it was a really bad advert for MLS. I mean, I think that Santos were better in every department of the field on the field. I mean, I thought that Santos were very, very good, and they came into the game under so much pressure. I mean, they hadn't won a game in all of February. I mean, so it's like all the talk was about Galaxy and their, being in preseason, and obviously it is valid. These MLS teams come in, but let's not forget that they're playing on Sunday in the home opener, and I mean, they're not ready. I mean, it's not like that's not. They should be nearing readiness by now. They've had the preseason. They've known about these games since November, and while it's always going to be valid to complain about that, I think that you want to see a better showing if you've invested millions and millions of dollars in the players that Galaxy have. You want to invest more, but yeah, I think obviously the four Mexican teams went through, and it's a big boost to the Liga MX and MLS. I think from a PR point of view, I think MLS are really good at the PR stuff, but this was a disaster. I mean, I think that you see Galaxy, which is almost a flagship institution, and representing Los Angeles. I mean, representing one of the world's biggest, most well-known cities, and then you look at Santos Laguna from Torreon, which is an unfashionable city in northern Mexico. Let's be honest. And I just think that the Santos model in terms of not one player was over the age of 30 that featured for Santos over the both games. It's like Santos have got a policy of investing in players that are maybe undervalued. It's a bit like the Moneyball thing, I think, that they can build up and the value is going to go up. It's very intelligent what they do. And I think that game between Galaxy and Santos just put both kind of models in stark contrast, and it was the Santos model that clearly won out. So yeah, big for Liga MX, good for Santos, and it was 4-0. I mean, it's pretty. MLS didn't win any of the 8 games, so I think it sends a strong message that they have to go back, and there's still a long way to go for MLS to equal Liga MX.
Yeah. So, like everyone was saying, maybe that closing of the gap argument, maybe it's no longer true. Naib, tell us your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, good points that Tom brought up there, describing the differences between what the Galaxy means internationally and what Santos means internationally. Few people know about Santos in Europe, but it's just certain ways of how to view the leagues. I mean, if you see the 4 games that happened in Mexico, the aggregate score was 11-1, and the lone goal that MLS scored was actually an own goal by Pablo Aguilar last night in Estadio Azteca. So MLS teams didn't score in Mexico. Yeah. This happens a year after Montreal Impact reached the final. They actually eliminated Pachuca, which was a big deal, I think, last year. And you thought of some type of progression that was happening in MLS. Well, actually, this year I think we saw a sort of a regression. That even though that there's this issue about the preseason and about the schedule, that I do think it's huge. I saw that Mexican clubs were just too good compared to MLS teams. America playing at a 75% last night, got a 3-1 win over the Sounders. Sounders teams that actually, in my opinion, has a good project. There with Aido Valdez, Ivan Sheets, and also this kid Jordan Morris, who had some glimpses of what he can do. Osvaldo Alonso, I think, was perhaps the best MLS player
Yeah.
in the 4 matches. Real Salt Lake did well, I think, against Tigres.
Yeah, that
They
must
had
be
the
mentioned as well.
PK.
Real Salt Lake.
Yeah, they had the PK that they missed, and then of course there was also a crossbar before that penalty. But I think the advancements are pretty. There's not that much advancements going on in the region. I mean, I think about it. It was an MLS against Liga MX. It was sort of like Interliga, Superliga type of deal.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Robbie Keane's comments before the game in Torreon the day before was that MLS is now on par. That was his quote, on par with Liga MX, and you can have that opinion, and MLS I think is definitely improving in all aspects. But one of the things he said was that MLS is staying the same. I mean, sorry, Liga MX is staying the same.
Yeah.
And I don't agree. I think that now we're seeing better quality players coming from South America than ever. I mean, I think Mexico's becoming an increasingly attractive market for South American players, and it's just like, just look at the Santos team. Me and Naive talked about this earlier today, but Marchesín, Pulpo González, who's the other one? Izquierdos. Like those players are like well known in Argentina. They've made the name already in a really tough Argentine league, and then they've moved on to Mexico. And I don't think it's well enough appreciated in MLS. Some of the quality South American players that have come, that are constantly attracted to Mexico. And yeah. Sorry, just quickly, it's like just look at Tigres and Monterrey. I know we're going to talk about this going on, but they are top teams. Yeah, I mean, for me, those are top teams, and the top teams because there's Mexican talent, but there are very, very good foreigners as well.
So speaking of Tigres Monterrey, speaking of that talent, you're going to see players like Gignac, you're going to see players like Edwin Cardona, and then some talent from Mexico as well, Javier Aquino. Naive, tell us, talk about the Clasico Regio. We're focusing on this now. What should we expect from this rivalry match, this huge rivalry match where you see a significant amount of fans always showing up to these Monterrey games?
No, I think it's a moment in which, Rayados is coming in as the first place. Tigres got a big win against America at El Volcán last weekend. Tigres is the defending champion. They're the last Mexican team to reach a Copa Libertadores final. Unfortunately, they lost against River Plate. Carlos Sanchez was in that River Plate team, and now Carlos Sanchez is in Rayados de Monterrey. So, I mean, there's a lot of details. There's a lot of details. Perhaps, with Rayados, you see the offense that they have, the attack with Cardona, Pavón, and Funes Mori.
Yeah.
It's an attack that any mid-table European team would want to have, and I think that's one of the things that you got to recognize when seeing that Liga MX. I think there's a lot of clubs that are investing a lot of money in big name players already, and there is this sort of negativity that it does affect the progression of young Mexican footballers, but you want to see a spectacle on the pitch, and that's what this Tigres and Monterrey is. It's a spectacle on the pitch that few games in this side of the world have the quality of players that both Tigres and Rayados have.
Most definitely, especially in that attack. Tom, tell us your thoughts. What should we expect from this Clásico Regio, which will have multiple superstars from the league?
Yeah, I mean, I think that for any neutrals tuning in, this is for me the most exciting game of all season in the Mexican League, and I think personally, these two the best teams Mexico has to offer. First place against the reigning champion. So, I honestly think the atmosphere is going to be insane. I think it's the first one in Monterrey's new stadium. So you got a world-class stadium as well now, brand new. So yeah, I don't know. It's going to be a difficult one because I think the last Clásico, Monterrey and Tigres were playing. It was quite a close game, and Monterrey were actually playing pretty well. And then they got a red card, and Tigres were able to overcome them because of the man advantage. But there's just not much between these teams. I think it's going to be a tactical affair because Ferretti, you know what you're going to expect from Tigres. They're going to try and hog possession, recycle the ball and wait for opportunities. Whereas Monterrey, I also don't think are going to come out and fly out. So I think it's going to be quite tactical. But yeah, I'd say if you want an advert for the Liga MX off the back of this, the Concacaf Champions League and what we've seen in midweek and the 4 victories, this is as good as it gets.
Yeah. Give us a quick prediction. I mean, we know that making predictions are kind of foolish. I should know because of my Liga MX predictions have been way off. But Tom, give us your quick prediction. What a scoreline? What do you think?
1-1. I don't think there's much between them. It's difficult to separate these two teams.
Naib, well, if you were to give a prediction, what would it be?
I'll go 2-1 Tigres.
2-1 Tigres.
Yeah, I'll give this one to Tigres. I think they're sort of finding the way. I mean, yesterday's game, for example, Gignac really didn't show, and then all of a sudden he got that opportunity.
But that's what Gignac does. That's what Gignac does. He'll explode out of nowhere.
Yeah. No, it was insane yesterday because I thought it was terrible. I mean, it really was terrible. I was like thinking, what is up with Gignac? I mean, he just can't do anything. And then, he scored the goal, but I don't know if you remember, he scored a goal that was offside. And he was like, although it was offside, he just got the ball. It was like one touch, and he just absolutely smashed it in the net. And you're like, Jesus, if he gets a chance, you just know he's likely to put it out. Yeah, I mean,
I can't wait to watch Edwin Cardona and Gignac hopefully just exchanging long shots after long shots in that match. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on. Speaking of another player, another superstar, he's a little bit older than a few of the other players in the league. Cuauhtemoc Blanco, he's making his return. He's still the mayor of Cuernavaca. Yeah. This is his 3rd farewell match in the last 2 years. He had one in Michigan last year, and he had one for the national team. In Michigan. He had one in Michigan last year, and then one in 2014 with the national team. Tom, I saw you wrote about this. Give us your thoughts. Be honest, be real. What are your thoughts about Blanco returning? Because I know a lot of people are really excited and say no, he's a legend. He deserves this. But what do you think, Tom?
I think it's an absolute joke. I'm not going to mince my words. I think it's an absolute joke. I mean, this is an official league match in the middle of a league that's trying to compete with big leagues in Europe. I mean, that should be the ambition. And I think I know obviously I'm from the UK, and I know that how they're going to report on this game. And it's going to be one big joke that Cuauhtemoc Blanco, 43 years old, is playing. Like I understand, and I understand America fans think he deserves this farewell, and yeah, he does. But bring him on at halftime, build a statue outside the stadium. Do something else. Don't have him play. I mean, it just I think it. After what we've seen again in the Concacaf Champions League, and what we'll see after that game in the Clasico Regio, you're going to see we've seen and we will see really good adverts. And then you've got America bringing a 43-year-old who hasn't played in almost a year, and it's like, what's that? Really, what is it?
Naib, you're in Mexico City. You're in the middle of all this. There are a lot of fans who are very excited. You've seen the videos too of him arriving to the practice, and there's like 80 people taking pictures, wanting autographs. What's the feeling like down there? What are your thoughts as well on this situation?
Well, it was interesting last night after the win against the Sounders. One of the questions that I was asked to Nacho Ambriz was, how would you consider this game? And the journalist was straightforward. Is this going to be like a party? And it does feel like a party, to tell you the truth. But Nacho Ambriz, of course, had to say that it's not a party. It's an official game, blah, blah, blah. And at that aspect that, they're playing against Morelia, and Morelia deserves the respect that it deserves. I think this is just sort of description of Liga MX being in a bubble, that they think that they're invincible in certain aspects of how to organize the game, what things to do, the Pacto de Caballeros, the draft. I don't think that's appropriate for the league itself. Well, this is also part of some wrongdoings from the part of Liga MX. There's no point of putting a 43-year-old play for 30 minutes, even if it's Cuauhtemoc Blanco, who he has given a lot to Mexican football, negative and positive, of course, but more positive maybe. But like Tom was saying, it is a joke. But it derives from the fact that Liga MX feels invincible, that they can do whatever the heck they want. And it's something that in the long run affects it, because if you want to export the brand, you can export this kind of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also I don't know. I mean, it's a running theme for me with in Mexican football where you have things that go on and then they kind of they're a big thing one day and then they just kind of get swept under the carpet and then they reappear or not. And it's like this is one of the things with Cuauhtemoc Blanco and being the mayor. I mean, did he not retire early
Yeah.
because he was running for election, and now he's a mayor? So is he allowed to play or not? I mean. What's the rule like? Why is that not being investigated?
Yeah, because he was forced to leave Puebla early because like they're saying, well, if you're going to run for mayor, you can't be doing that. But it is strange. But now they're allowing, yeah, as you mentioned, now they're allowing him to do this. I guess it's just for one match, but it's still ridiculous. It is ridiculous. But as ridiculous as it is, we can criticize it all we want. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited for this. I'm going to be. This is the most excited I've been for an America match, and I'm a Chivas fan, but like an America match in a long time, and so many of us are going to be glued to our TVs just waiting for some magic. Because how fantastic would it be if he had like an assist or a goal? How I don't even know. I don't even know where to even really go from there.
And how's he gonna play? I mean, he's 43 years old and he's not played in nearly a year. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, really, is he going to run around a lot, or probably not? He never really did, but like, is he going to take free kicks if there's a penalty? I mean, it is fascinating. I just think it's well, like I said, a bit of a joke.
It's most definitely a joke.
But it would have been funny actually if he'd have played the weekend after against Chivas.
Yeah,
that would have been fun.
That would have been fascinating. That would have been amazing. All right. So any last thoughts? We got a couple minutes left. Any last thoughts on the Concacaf Champions League, the Clasico Regio, on Blanco, maybe on something else that we should also look forward to this weekend?
Well, I think it will be interesting to see what happens with Cubo Torres and MLS. MLS starting the season. We just talked about certain aspects about the league that still have to improve and everything, but we have to admit that it has allowed a young Mexican footballer like Cubo Torres to continue on with his career. So I think that's one of the things that I look forward to and see if he's a starter, because I'm not sure if he'll be a starter.
Hey, he's been scoring, so we'll see what happens. Tom.
Yeah, Pumas Cruz Azul on Sunday. That should be a decent game. And yeah, on from that, I know all the attention has been focused on the Concacaf Champions League, but the Copa Libertadores is almost like what the Concacaf Champions League is for the MLS teams. No Mexican team has ever won the Libertadores, and I think that Toluca getting a draw down there in San Lorenzo in Argentina was massive, and Pumas beating Olympia? Yeah, Olympia, right?
Yeah, they beat Olympia 2-0. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, those are great results. 2 out of 2 wins for Pumas, right at the top of the group. It looks like they're going through, and it looks like they're taking it really seriously, which has been a surprise to me. And also Toluca, 4 points from 2 games. Win your home, pick up something away. I mean, that's what you have to do in the Libertadores. So, I'm actually starting to get. I know our friend Wiso was saying maybe these teams are going to surprise at the start of the season, but I'm starting to get a bit excited about the Libertadores now.
There we go. We'll see if Pumas can transition that form from the Libertadores over to the domestic league, to Liga MX, because that's where they're actually really struggling.
Also Toluca.
Also Toluca as well. Yeah. All right. Well. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining in. Thanks to everyone who followed along. I know we sometimes make this kind of last minute, and we let you know just about 30 minutes beforehand. But thank you so much, everybody on the chat. Thank you, Tom. Thank you. I was about to say Wiesel because we were just talking. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Naive. And, looking forward to a good weekend. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fascinating, and I can't wait to see what Blanco does. I'm not going to lie. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, guys.